It is the 27th of July, 2013. Many thanks for joining us on KTN Saturday Night Live. I'm Linda Ogutu. Let's look at the top stories tonight.
Hapa mtaani na akipatikana ataweza kuchukuliwa, stakiwe na afunguliwe mashtaka ya kufanya mauaji.
KC police hunt suspected vampire dad and mother of murdered baby girl.
Lessons that we have learned out of this are many, and I think various people have tried to pick different lessons.
Kalonzo beats Ngilu in Ukambani's shadow boxing once again.
You yourself, I don't know where you work, and you in particular. You cannot come here and tell us we pay people for not working.
Waziri wa elimu Bwana Kaimenyi tunamheshimu kwa wadhifa wake, lakini naye atuheshimu na ajiheshimu.
Looming battle over July pay for teachers.
For one, the people who sold us the land were conned by government officials.
And is the lands ministry in bed with land grabbers? The sad tale of Syokimau. Many thanks for joining us. Police in Kisii have launched a manhunt for a man who is believed to have killed his child and drunk her blood in a bizarre incident. The man who fled from his homestead allegedly killed the child while his wife was away from home. Both husband and wife fled the scene after the incident.
It gives away nothing, at least not from the outside, but the blood spattered inside tells a different story, one about the tragic events that unfolded here. A man is accused of killing his 1.5-year-old daughter and drinking her blood. The man's wife had risen early and left the house to do her chores. In her absence, her husband, identified as Nyamohanga Sapati, is reported to have struck the child and killed her before drinking her blood. He then fled.
Mimi nilikuwa nakaa hiyo kioski yangu. Sasa akitonga pata mtoto wangu anakuja ananiambia yule mzee yetu kichani yetu huko amefanya nini, amenyonga mtoto wake. Mimi nikafikiri amenyonga tu kunyonga. Nikaenda kukimbia kutoka kioski yangu kukuja nikafika huko juu. Nikapata hiyo mtoto yenyewe sijui alipiga mawe, sijui alipiga nini, ubongo iko nje.
Kwenda kuangalia nyumba tukapata ni mtoto amelala chini kwa faranda akiwa amekufa, amegongwa, tukidhania kitu kilitumika kumgonga ni kama chuma, kitu iko brand sio sharp.
His wife would come home to find her daughter dead. She raised the alarm, alerting the village about the events that had occurred. She then fled from the homestead in the ensuing confusion. Neighbors say trouble had been brewing over the child's parentage. The child is believed to have been born to the man's wife before he married her. There's a troubled union as the couple had no other children. Others, however, say there had been no signs of trouble between the couple.
Bibi yake alikuwa anakuchanga kwa kipanda yangu, ananiambia hiyo mzee akimwambia waende kwao hataki. Akimwambia sasa tununua hata nini kwa nyumba hataki. Juzi alikuwa anamwambia nipe pesa ya maziwa. Akamwambia hiyo mtoto sio wangu.
Police officers have launched a manhunt for the suspect and are investigating the circumstances surrounding the child's death. Wilkis Tanyabwa, KTN.
Right, let's stay with children. And the baby who was allegedly rescued from a dump site in Mombasa wasn't thrown away after all. KTN tracked down the mother who now confesses that she gave away the baby immediately after birth because it is a product of incest. And as KTN's Ferdinand Omondi reports, the baby is still unwanted by the mother and her community.
When KTN first heard of this baby, the woman in its possession claimed she had picked it up from a dump site.
Wakaniambia, hiyo ni jini usiende. Nikamwambia hapana, mimi lazima nitaenda, nitafungua hiyo box nione nini iko ndani. Nikaenda nikapasua. Kupasua nikaona mtoto yuko.
However, KTN later picked up new leads to suggest otherwise, and today our investigations led us to Mnazi Moja, a sprawling village in Nyali, where we met this young woman.
20-year-old Alice Ingaisi confessed she is the biological mother, but says she could not keep the baby whose father is her cousin.
Aunti yangu alikuwa anakaa huko Mombasa na mimi nilikuwa nakaa bara. Akanipigia simu akaniambia kuna mama huko ambaye anataka mtoto. Alafu nikajifungua na huyo mama akasema kuwa atachukua mtoto. Na tukampatia mtoto kutoka kwa mikono yetu sisi wenyewe.
An apologetic Mama Knight now admits she was indeed given the baby, but insists she lied to protect the baby's mom.
Wanisamee kwa sababu nilikuwa naogopa kwa ule mwenye alinipa mtoto nikijua anaweza kufanya nini. Anaweza kushikwa kwa sababu hakunipatia mtoto na njia ya kusema direct ati mtoto nimekupa kabisa.
Alice's auntie Ruth, who brokered the exchange, explained that Luhya customs do not allow Alice to keep the baby, a product of incest.
Ukimila yetu hawezi akalea huyo mtoto. Hawezi pia kubeba akaenda naye kwa boma. Makosa.
Kwa sababu gani ile kitendo kisirudie kwa boma. Huwa wanapopeana kwa yule mtu ambaye si wa ukoo wa yule family. Alee yule mtoto.
Na hiyo ni dhuluma ambayo huyu mtoto amedhulumiwa kisheria. Katika sheria ya watoto huyu mtoto amedhulumiwa. Sio vizuri tuendelee kufunja sheria ya kudhulumu watoto kama hawa.
Mama Knight is still desperate to keep the unwanted baby who is now at a children's home. The 45-year-old mother of one has tried to get a second child without success and is desperate to be a mother again to appease her troubled soul, her frustrated husband and her lonely son.
Mimi nasikia raha, wakinipa nitasikia raha sana. Kwa sababu nitakuwa nikitembea naye, mtu akija anajua mtoto wa Knight ndio huyu, si ndio?
Ferdinand Modi, KTN Saturday Night Live.
All right, the Cabinet Secretary for Interior, Joseph Olelenku, has sought to defuse the fireworks triggered by government spokesman Muthui Kariuki when he accused former Prime Minister Raila Odinga of refusing to hand over government vehicles. Olelenku said the former Prime Minister has surrendered all extra vehicles contrary to recent sentiments by the government spokesman. Muthui ignited a bitter war of words early this week when he claimed Raila had refused to give back 6 vehicles that were supposed to be returned to the government. Olelenku spoke during a visit to Kwale County where he met with security and administrative personnel drawn from 3 coastal counties of Kwale, Mombasa and Kilifi.
Kuna policy ya VIP protection. Na inasema ni askari ngapi wanastahili kuwa nayo na ako nayo. So tusiseme kama kuna kitu ambayo imefanywa kwa sababu hakuna kitu imefanywa kumuumiza ama kumdimin, hapana.
Lakini inasemekana kuna magari aliambiwa arudishe.
Kuna magari ambayo iko kwake ambayo ni nje ya ile policy. Hiyo ndio imerudishwa. Lakini ile ambayo anastahili kuwa nayo ako nazo.
Kwa hivyo zile ambayo yuko nazo sasa illegally ones.
Yes. Ile ambaye haikuwa ilikuwa nje ya kawaida ndio ilitolewa. Na tunamheshimu kama kiongozi wa taifa na tunampatia protection kama vile wale wengine wameritea wanapewa kulingana na sheria, na hiyo inafanyika.
Elsewhere, the Kenya National Union of Teachers, NUT, is furious at the confirmation that the government is indeed not going to pay teachers their July salaries. The statement by Education Cabinet Secretary Professor Jacob Kaimenyi that those who spend July on strike will not get a penny has sent shivers down the spines of the teachers who admit they had expected the ministry to ignore the proposal by the Salaries and Remuneration Commission to withhold the July pay. Here's more on that story.
You yourself, I don't know where you work, and you in particular. You cannot come here and tell us we pay people for not working. It doesn't make sense. Are we together? Please, rules and regulations must be followed to the letter.
This is the latest declaration by the Cabinet Secretary for Education, Professor Jacob Kaimenyi, who now says that teachers will not be paid for work not done. And this declaration is not sitting well with NUT officials who say that neither the Cabinet Secretary nor the SRC has authority to give directives to their employer, the Teachers Service Commission.
We would advise him for free that the best he can do is to promote the moral fabric of the education sector. It is wrong for him to continue insulting teachers anytime and every time he opens his mouth.
On Tuesday this week, stakeholders in the education sector, chaired by Professor Kaimenyi, held a forum and came up with a strategy to make up for time lost during the strike.
And the other agenda was to discuss the steps to mitigate the impact of the strike. Then we have extended to the third term, again by another 1 week.
With the strategy and with teachers back to school, it was assumed that all was finally well, only not.
Should the teachers fail to receive their salaries as expected, the National Executive Council of the Kenya National Union of Teachers shall be summoned to advise the steering committee and give authority to the Secretary General, who is me, on which step to take.
The teachers argue that since they will be working during the extended terms, the argument that they will be receiving pay for no work holds no water. The ongoing wrangles between the government and the teachers' union, and now also the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, seems unrelenting even a week after the signing of the return to work formula. And now, with only a few days to July 31st, when the fate of teachers' July pay will be known for sure, school children ultimately remain to be the victims of this tug of war. Sharon Momanyi, KTN, Nairobi.
Let's see how that goes on in the coming days. Of course, that is a story that we will look at for you. Let's now move to the Makueni by-election that was held yesterday. Accept and move on. That is the call of Mutula Kilonzo Jr., the new senator for Makueni, to his rivals in the just concluded by-election. Jr. is tonight asking his rivals who might be planning to petition his win to respect the verdict of Makueni voters and instead join him in developing the county. And the Wiper leader, Kalonzo Musyoka, seems to be savoring the victory even more than the victor himself. KTN's Patrick Amimo tells you why.
Hereby declare Mutula Kilonzo Jr. duly elected senator for Makueni County.
It was a by-election that had gripped the country's attention as the CORD and Jubilee Alliance wrestled for the seat that was left vacant by the death of Mutula Kilonzo Sr. Indeed, his son Kilonzo Jr., who has now succeeded him, had only 5 days to campaign after his sister Kathy Kilonzo was locked out for lack of a voter's card. Yesterday, after casting his vote, the party of independent candidate of Kenya senatorial aspirant Harun Mwau claimed the electoral body favored Mutula Jr. in the by-election. Mwau said IEBC's decision to paste Kilonzo's details on the ballot had given Mutula a due advantage over other candidates as the pasted information was conspicuous. But other candidates say the election was free and fair. It is not clear whether Mwau will petition the result now that Mutula won with a landslide.
Wengine waliitisha kura siku 21, mimi niliitisha kura siku 5 na wananchi wameamua. Wananchi wameamua wakubali kushindwa. Na wakikubali kushindwa, wakubali kufanya kazi na viongozi wa Makueni. Wale wako na utata, kama wanataka kuenda kotini waende kotini, lakini mimi nikiulizwa nafaa kuwauliza wasipoteze wakati. Wasitupotezee wakati sisi, wasinipotezee wakati mimi wakienda kotini.
Mutula saluted the electoral body for carrying out a flawless election.
The IBC conducted themselves as required by law and they have made the people of Makueni very proud.
The CORD Alliance leadership praised voters in Makueni for remaining faithful to the coalition.
The electronic transmission mechanism seems to have worked very well yesterday in Makueni. And one wonders why it never worked in March. It's simple. It was crushed deliberately.
ABC has shown in a small way that a free and fair election can actually take place in this country. And therefore, we continue to say that unless there's a structural and major change within the IBC, to have any major election in this country is not going to be very easy.
The electoral body blamed the hitches in the March 4th polls to lack of time, saying adequate time is needed to ensure flawless elections.
We want to make sure that we sustain this result, this excellent result that has placed us now in the high table, as it were. But we do appreciate that there will be significant challenges ahead in terms of a general election. This was just a by-election in the county.
Having retained the Makueni seat, the CORD Alliance jeered at the opponents, the Jubilee Alliance.
This Jubilee government has formed a habit of rewarding those people who are outrightly rejected by the electorate. So we have now given them a new set to appoint to parastatal jobs, to ambassadorial jobs.
Mutula Jr. made laps of victory in Makueni County, where he acknowledged cheers from the electorate. He says he'll hit the road running.
Na tunataka kuwashukuru na mjue kwamba wakazi wa Makueni, mimi kama seneta wenyu nitakusanya hawa viongozi, tukae chini tuwahudumie nyinyi.
It was a resounding victory, which some jubilant voters now say was a protest vote by Makueni electorate over the manner in which Kathy Kilonzo was treated by her rivals and the Jubilee coalition. Patrick Amimo, KTN Saturday Night.
Reactions there on the win for 38-year-old Mutula Kilonzo Jr., the new senator for Makueni, of course, taking over from his father. Let's stay with that story. And the Makueni win for the Wiper Party has left a sweet taste in the mouth of one Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. Kalonzo's reaction has confirmed the often repeated line that the bitter battle in the courts about Kathy Kilonzo may not have been purely about the legality or otherwise of her so-called voter registration slip. KTN Samogina now reports on what Mutula Kilonzo Jr.'s win means for Kalonzo Musyoka.
Mutula Kilonzo Jr.'s landslide victory shuts the curtain on an intricate legal come political battle with an underlying supremacy war.
Nataka makamu wa rais asimame akumbatiane na waziri Charity Ngilu tuhakikishe wamesameheana.
The shadow contest battled on the sidelines of the mini poll was CORD versus Jubilee alliances. The prize being political dominance in the region with an ending sibling rivalry between Wiper's Kalonzo Musyoka and NARC's Charity Ngilu.
The people of Makueni County are saying, jameni tuheshimiane. Tuheshimiane kabisa.
While Kalonzo led an open assault, Ngilu, being Lands Cabinet Secretary, fought in the background with her proxies on the front line. Ngilu's push for the late Mutula Kilonzo's widow, Nduku Kilonzo, would suffer a backlash before the Makueni residents.
Are you running for the Senate?
Yes, I am.
The Lands Cabinet Secretary will also be summoned by Parliament for engaging in politics despite a presidential decree gagging his cabinet from politics.
Na tumekubaliana na hawa kikamilifu ya kwamba watawacha jukumu zao zote za kisiasa, vio vyote ambao wameshikilia za kisiasa, na wakati wanatumikia serikali yetu hawatajihusisha na siasa kamwe.
Charity Ngilu receded into the background, but her operatives were working full circle. NARC picked Philip Kaloki, a former Wiper member, to clip Wiper's influence in Makueni.
My name is Honorable Agnes Mutindi Detei.
While former MP Agnes Ndetei went full throttle in a court circus that blocked Wiper's preferred candidate, Kathy Kilonzo, from contesting.
What the Jubilee side tried to do to his sister Kathy was one reason people became angry.
But Wiper's win has reinforced the writing that was already on the wall as soon as the courts allowed Wiper to replace Kathy Kilonzo in the Makueni race.
First of all, I don't want to talk about kingdom. Let me tell you that this Jubilee government has formed a habit of rewarding those people who are outrightly rejected by the electorate. So we have now given them a new set to appoint to parastatal jobs, to ambassadorial jobs.
Buoyed by the win, the former vice president says he has dropped his return to parliament ambition and is comfortably assuming the role of checking government. Having reclaimed its Senate seat, Wiper has warned of excommunication of its members who openly campaigned for Jubilee in the just concluded by-election.
What the law talks about recall, I'm sure, may have to be applied in this case. We want to urge all our members of parliament to remain properly coded
Wiper's strong showing in Makueni is also expected to strengthen Kalonzo's political bargaining chip. Samugina, KTN, Nairobi.
That's why we leave it on stories on the Makueni by-election and the reactions. Let's look at other stories of the day. And the Kenya Wildlife Service has confirmed all crew members aboard the Cessna 206 plane that disappeared on Thursday are dead. The light aircraft was sighted today in the heart of the Aberdare forest and will be recovered tomorrow.
The search for 3 people aboard a Cessna 206 has come to a sad end. Kenya Wildlife Services search and rescue team sighted the wreckage this afternoon in Kipipiri area. Unfortunately, there was no sign of life. All 3 passengers are feared dead. Because of the late sighting and the harsh terrain, recovery will start on Sunday morning. The plane went down on Thursday en route to Wilson Airport from the Nyanyuki airstrip. The pilot is said to have sent a signal to South Africa only moments before the plane disappeared in the Aberdare's mountain range.
The forest is very, very thick. It's a lot of very tall, 20 to 30 feet bamboo. So if the aeroplane, when it did come down, and it went down into the bamboo, the problem is that the bamboo doesn't break, the bamboo bends. Unlike a tree which can break and it's brittle, bamboo is not brittle. So the aeroplane could have landed, gone down, and then the bamboo comes back up again and kind of funikas the crash site. So we believe that the aircraft is actually underneath or inside that bamboo.
There have been reports that the Kenya police had launched a search and rescue on Friday. However, it turns out that the police have not been to the Aberdare's range.
We are shifting our operations to that side, and bear with us. Hopefully we are going to get these victims.
As late as this afternoon, the police had just constituted a search and rescue team, but before the team could get to the mountain range, the Wilson Nautical Association located the plane's signal. The information was then used by Kenya Wildlife Service officers who made a positive identification of the wreckage this afternoon. Catherine Omwando, KTN.
Let's now take you to Naivasha. And Mausa is evicted from the Ngatia farm in Narasha village in Naivasha today. Took the Ministry of Energy to task, accusing the ministry officials of instigating the torching of their houses in yesterday's vicious evictions. KTN's Najma Ismail reports.
Emotions ran high during the meeting, with leaders pointing fingers at electricity generating company Kengen. In a statement read by Narrow Quest MP Patrick Ntutu, they condemned the evictions, terming them inhumane.
Conflict arises when the geothermal power station develop interest in the land, and Kengen is trying to lock out the community from this land whereby originally Maasai grazing.
During the early morning evictions yesterday, at least 247 houses were burnt down and tens of families were left homeless. Acting on a court order, armed officers from Rapid Deployment Unit moved into the village, torching some of the houses and demolishing others.
Miaka mingi sana tumekaa katika hii sehemu. Hata court order hata ya dunia gani ikitolewa. There is no court order all over the world that says you have to come and burn people's homes. You have to come and destroy their property without even giving them a notice.
Cabinet Secretary for Energy Davis Churchill, who toured the area, denied any knowledge of the eviction.
It's a very unfortunate incident that we are learning of as government. Government is not aware. We do not really have information to be able to explain to the people of this community why their homes have been burnt.
The forceful evictions took the victims by surprise, not just because of the timing, but also because of the viciousness employed. Najma Ismail, KTN.
Right, so we all remember the story of Syokimau demolitions, that story that shocked many Kenyans in 2011. When we come back, Catherine Owanthu will tell you the story of one family that is struggling to pick up the pieces. But for now, we're taking a short break.